which is probably a natural lead question into when you do have a property, Steve, that you're marketing, you're aggressive, you think outside the box, you talk about marketing. What do you do when you have what I call a stale listing, Steve? Is there a technique that you do, or multiple things? What would let's just role play here. You got a $2 million property, and sitting on the market. There's some tough competition. What do you do, Steve?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it is fairly common that even despite all your efforts to get an offer in the first 30 days, it sits for 6 months or so. The key is to continually keep your finger on the pulse of the market. One of the things I always do when I list a property is I set up a search in my local MLS, and let's say it's a $2 million property, so I might create a search in that vicinity or zip code from 1.5 to 2.5, and I look for everything that went under contract from the date we went on the market going forward, and I keep track and say there might be 30 active listings in that period, and in 6 months, 6 homes went under contract. So that's one a month. So that's a five. That's a you can calculate the absorption rate from that and determine is the pace of the market, and then you have to look at each of those listings and try to determine is that what was it about those other properties that were more attractive to those buyers than your property, and is part of this is having good relationships with those agents, who are the other listing agents, and find out if maybe did that buyer even come to your listing to look at it, and then the key to all this is then keeping your client informed that you're doing this work, you're on top of it, and seeing if there's anything you can do proactively to reposition the property so that to the extent there is some sort of perceived negative about your property as to why buyers are either not showing it or showing it and not making offers, try to fix it. Is the house too dark? Is the furniture dated? Is there too much wallpaper in the house? Is the yard it doesn't feel like it has enough of a flat green area? And some of those things are fixable. Some of them, sometimes they're not. But to the extent they are fixable, you talk to your client and say, is it worth actually making the change? Or sometimes the answer is maybe it is price. Usually it's a combination of those, but the key is to have to understand the market, follow it, and the hardest thing to do, I think, in this business is to reach out to a client when nothing's happening. And I think that's a fatal error listing agents make, is they're afraid to call their client because they don't have any good news to share. But I think it's much better to let the client know that you haven't forgotten about them, that even though they don't see activity, they don't see the showings, that you're continuing to market the property aggressively.